Now, the Knicks and Timberwolves trade, after thinking about it, I think it's a win-win trade. I think both teams got exactly what they wanted out. Well, I never said the Knicks lost the trade.
I'm not saying
You were definitely very angry.
You weren't
I wasn't angry about it. I was just cautious about it. I was concerned about the move.
It's up.
Here's the thing. I think it was a win-win trade. Both teams got exactly what they needed. I think we can start there, right? The Timberwolves, they got off a Cat's contract. They were still able to create flexibility while also competing now, because I think there is a possibility the Wolves are better now. I mean, that's a realistic outcome because they got better depth now and because Julius Randle is an all-star in his own right. And then with the Knicks, they needed a center. Mitchell Robinson is hurt, so they made this move because you need a starting five out there or else you were going to see Jericho Sims or Precious Achiuwa at the five. Now, we can start on this trade, breaking it down from the Knicks perspective, then go on to the Wolves and ask the questions of, just answer the questions of the flexibility and the fit and if they will be better. Now with the Knicks, this was the move that they made to go all in, to put the chips all on the table to win a championship.
Here we go.
Now, JC, what do you think about this move? Because we haven't got your thoughts on it.
I've tweeted about it. I'll be one to say I didn't like the move. I think you gave up a lot for Karl-Anthony Towns, who I believe doesn't really move the needle that much. I much would have rather the Knicks run it back with Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. Obviously, we didn't get to see how that went in the playoffs because your team got depleted with injuries. And at this point, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree with me, but I don't think there's much of a difference between Karl-Anthony Towns and Julius Randle. Julius Randle's been an all-NBA level player 2 times with the Knicks. They've had success. Obviously, last year he was hurt, whatever the case may be. But essentially, when I look at the broad scheme of things, like you basically had Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns. You add them to the Knicks, and this is your definition of you going for a title. I don't think you're better than Boston. I don't think you're better than Philly. I don't think you're better than a healthy Milwaukee. I mean, that's just my opinion, though. I have reservations on if you guys would be better than a locked-in Miami Heat team. I just think
So we're not better than Miami.
No, I'll give you the edge. I'll give you the edge.
No.
I'll give you the edge.
JC, in a playoff series, how many teams do you think are better than the Knicks? Because you just need 4.
JC.
No. I said I think like basically Miami.
That tier.
I got the Knicks over Miami, so I think the Knicks finished 4, Miami's finished 5. If they meet in the playoffs,
I'm
reserved on that low key.
JC, I can also ask you this question.
I'm reserved on that low key.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay, go ahead.
Last season, if OG doesn't go down, they go to the ECF, correct?
I mean,
if OG doesn't go down, they beat the Pacers.
Who else got hurt though? I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank.
No, I'm just talking about in that individual series alone.
No, I know OG. Who else went down in that series though? Bogdanovich.
Mitchell got hurt. Philly.
Yeah, you know what?
Get hurt late.
He did no.
Hartenstein did get hurt,
Did he
bro.
get hurt?
He did
Mitch
get
got
hurt.
hurt against Philly.
Mitch got hurt against Philly, but then
Bogdanovich
Brunson
got hurt,
in
twisted his
Game
ankle.
7. If OG doesn't go down, do they win the series? They go to the ECF. Yes.
Yeah, but then I would have to do that for the Bucks.
In this series alone, all I'm asking is just this series alone.
But why can't I add the Bucks though?
Yeah,
if you want to
play the same.
Dame and Giannis is crazy, bro.
They are crazy. I agree with that. But we just saw
actually, I'm gonna answer your question. I'm not about it. I'm not. Do they? If they're healthy, the Knicks absolutely.
Yes, and that's without Julius Randle.
Pretty much.
Now this offseason,
don't think the Indiana Pacers belong there, but okay.
I don't disagree at all.
Okay.
Now this offseason, they got Mikal Bridges and they traded away Dante DiVincenzo. Who's a better player, Mikal or Dante?
Mikal.
Okay, so you gave away Dante, who was awesome for you guys, no doubt about it. He was one of the glue guys.
He's one of the best shooters in the league.
But you get Mikal Bridges, who essentially is a higher power version of Dante DiVincenzo because he's much better on the defensive side. He's not as great of a three-point shooter as Dante, obviously, but Mikal has shown he can score the basketball at a better clip.
Yes. Yeah, at a better clip, yeah.
Okay, so Julius Randle, who was not even a part of the run at all, they still would have been an ECF team. You lose Isaiah Hartenstein. That's bad. He's one of the best defenders last season. He was one of the biggest surprises for the New York Knicks because of what he was able to also bring to the offensive side. Really good connector, had good touch around the rim. So we're not even thinking about Julius Randle with the Knicks. We're taking Isaiah Hartenstein away, and we're putting in Karl-Anthony Towns. Do you lose a lot of defense? Absolutely. Do you gain even more offense with Karl-Anthony Towns?
For sure.
10,000%.
For sure.
One thing that I saw from you, Mr. Moran, and I thought that it was a fair statement to make about Karl-Anthony Towns' playoff performances, is that you mentioned around 20% of his games 26%. In the playoffs that he's had less than 40% from the field.
In the last 4 seasons.
In last postseason for Dante DiVincenzo, 6 of the 13 games that he played were under 40% as well.
From 3-point shooting?
The one with New York.
Wait, 3-point shooting?
From the field, under 40%. Under 40%. 6 of the 13 games were under.
You don't think that's increased offensive role?
I do believe that was.
Well, look. In the grand scheme of things, this is how easy we gonna break this shit down real quick. Do you think the Knicks are better than a healthy Milwaukee Bucks?
Yes.
I can argue yes.
Okay. Do you think they're better than the Celtics?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think they're better than Philly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. And so.
If they can't get past Boston, they can't win a championship, correct?
But
I don't think that they can get past Milwaukee. I don't. I don't.
Milwaukee's been a first round exit 2 years in a row because they failed to stay healthy.
They've got hurt.
That's something you got to look into.
The Knicks weren't healthy last year either, and that's why they didn't make it to the ECF.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. It's a fair point. But Mikal is one of the safest players in basketball.
As crazy as what he did on Twitter, I agree with him. If you really read off that Knicks roster, does that shit scream championship to you? Because that's essentially what this move was to win a championship.
But does that shit
scream championship for you? Do Cat and Mikal Bridges move the needle? Cat is ass in the playoffs. He's not that good in the playoffs.
Jalen Brunson's a top 3 guard.
He's not that good in the playoffs, bro.
But Jalen Brunson is that good in the playoffs, and
he's good. No, I'm not talking about Jalen Brunson. I am not talking about Jalen Brunson.
He's your best player. That's really why I don't like that the conversation has shifted strictly talking about Karl-Anthony Towns.
That's what they traded for.
But last season, he shot 35% from 3, which obviously isn't great.
That shit is league average.
But he's also a big man.
In the regular season or the playoffs?
No, in the playoffs. In the playoffs, 35% from 3.
Because he's been really bad in the playoffs.
It was really because of the WCF that his statistics went down.
The biggest series of his career.
I agree.
So defense took a hit, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But
the defense didn't take a hit because of Cat. Because Hardenstein.
That's why. But the defense
Cat doesn't help it, though.
In the grand scheme of things, it won't be better, but it could be as
Mitch
good
is already out,
because
though.
you get Mikal Bridges in there.
The defense cannot be as good.
I don't think so either.
You have Mikal and OG.
With no Hartenstein, the defense cannot be as good.
Top 13 unit.
No.
13, 14 unit.
This is the thing. And
Josh Hart's still a great, gritty guard. You know what I mean?
They don't have no
Knicks have a good team. I'm not saying they have a good team.
But Cat isn't a cone defensively. It's not like he's terrible.
Do the Knicks win if Embiid's 100% healthy? I mean, he was dominant, but they didn't win. No, he wasn't 100% healthy,
He basically was.
Yes,
he wasn't 100% healthy.
Did
you see him defensively that series? He couldn't even move that series.
That Philly team just wasn't that good.
You add Paul George?
Well, now it's
they lost the Embiid minutes completely when he wasn't on the
court. But this year is different. Like I think they're right there.
Maxey, I mean, listen, like I think the Knicks are the 4th. If you want to say 3rd, cool.
I can hear the Sixers low key. Sixers are a good
I think
squad.
the Sixers, Boston, and I really think people are disrespecting the Bucks, yo. I really do, bro.
I get it.
Like, I get it. We're not even talking about their play. We're just talking about them being hurt. But this conversation is like, in a perfect world, if everybody's healthy, I think Milwaukee's a better team than the Knicks.
I believe in Philly.
I do.
And I believe in Philly, not even because of Embiid or Paul George. I believe in Philly because of Maxey.
He's a dog.
Maxey's
different,
gotten
bro.
better every single year.
Yes, bro.
And I believe in his ascension. So like, and I think all 4 of these teams have depth issues. And I think Boston
top heavy.
I think Boston Boston has the best guys, not because they're talented, but because they fit within the system and because the continuity is there. I think with Philly, Milwaukee, and the Knicks, they're gonna have struggles.
Think Knicks better than Miami stamped?
I think they're better
in the
talent.
playoffs.
In the playoffs, I mean, Miami can be better than all 3 of those teams. Realistically, if we talk about
that's why I have my reservations on. I got on 5. I got the Knicks 4.
Talent-wise, New York should beat Miami. Like if they lose to Miami, I would deem that as a failure. Like real shit. Like you're losing to Miami. That is a failure.
It's a failure for sure.
But I think Milwaukee, they're the oldest team out the bunch. You know, they're also the team that they have the unhealthiest players in the starting 5.
That's
like
true.
them and the Knicks. You know, and on top of that, their stars are old. So that's the problem here. I think Milwaukee, it's not that nobody's forgetting about them. You have Brook at the 5. Brook is clearly regressing. You know, you have Chris Middleton. He's already on.
He was good last year in the playoffs.
But he's already injured going into training camp.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you going to get a healthy Dame back? I believe so, but I don't know. Giannis, is he going to improve his game? You know, you have to wait for that jump shot to consistently be there. You have shooters that are good, but the defense is still going to take
Trent?
Gary Trent's a good shooter, but they don't have a good defense. I don't think Milwaukee's going to have a good defense.
You don't think that Brook and Giannis can carry them just defending the rim?
Brook Lopez is regressing. He's regressing. I don't think Giannis can.
You don't even think he's a quality rim protector, Brook Lopez, at this stage of his career?
He still is.
I think he's a quality rim protector. I think they're going to need more than that. They don't have nobody on the perimeter.
That's true.
Like nobody.
That's going to be the Bucks' downfall, is that the perimeter defense just isn't there. You know, I've told you guys how I felt about the Bucks. I think if they're healthy, they're going to be a threat in the East. I think the Bucks are very talented.
Was it you that said, or that they were making fun of you on, not making fun,
Definitely
but
was him.
talking about
Bucks
on
over Boston, yes.
on Nerd Sesh with Jokic
Yeah,
Joestar.
on State of the League podcast.
State of the League podcast.
So what happened
facts.
is that after we got through the topics, Jack asked me, Jokic Joestar, his name is Jack. So Jack asked me basically, what's my finals pick? And I said the Celtics, right? Obviously the Celtics. And then I asked him, what's the tally right now? Like, what is it? And he said, everybody so far has picked the Celtics and they've picked the OKC Thunder. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be different right here. I'm going to pick the Bucks because I want the next person on the show to hear the tally and be like, who the hell picked the Bucks? And then Carson was on the show, and then that's how we heard about it.
That was good. That was a good clip.
So, okay, this is the thing. And I was reading the comments of the last YouTube video that we did on the reaction. My thoughts were very fresh at that point. They were very raw, and I want to clean some things up. This is the most excited I've been to watch the Knicks ever in my life.
Easily.
I want to make that clear.
Be a good team.
I am very ecstatic for this current roster. That doesn't mean I have to just think we're going to the finals and I can't have my valid concerns. Because if Cat were to get traded to any team, my concerns would have been the same. It's not that I'm trying to hate on my own team. It's I'm being objective about the Knicks. Because I remember a point in time where I wasn't being objective about the Knicks, and that made me say we were going to be the third seed when we picked up Kemba Walker. So now I'm over here and I'm being realistic. Knicks fans can be very unrealistic. I experienced that firsthand with how high they were on RJ Barrett. He eventually got traded and wasn't a part of our core. I experienced it with other instances as well. And I think this Cat instance is one of them, to where Knicks fans are just overlooking all the flaws and they're buying into him 100%, but there are some valid concerns. Before I get into those things, I will say this offense is going to be amazing. I mean, this offense is going to be unguardable, and the reason why I love this move is because we signaled we're building around Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle, you're not a good fit around Jalen Brunson's game. Jalen Brunson is one of the very best players in the NBA right now, and I was doing some point guard rankings not too long ago, and I stumbled across these numbers on Jalen Brunson that were pretty eye-opening. I'm going to get them after I finish this monologue because I got to go through my notes. But now we have spacing galore around Brunson. Cat is a 40% three-point shooter. He's very efficient above the break shooting threes. Mikal and OG are 40% corner three-point shooters. Josh Hart can be streaky, so I think his defender will probably help off more, and he'll collapse on those Jalen Brunson drives. But the pick and pop game with Cat, I think is going to be unguardable. You now give one of the best drivers in the league the ultimate space to drive to the basket without any clogged lanes. And last year that was an issue. So offensively, we have been maximized. Like, this is going to be a top 3 offense in the NBA. There's no doubt about it. And that's not what I'm concerned about at all. I don't have any concerns about the offense. My concerns come from the defense. If this was any other team, we're looking at a 6 foot guard, and we're looking at a 7 foot slow-footed big man and saying that's going to be a problem in the playoffs. And I think it is going to be a problem in the playoffs. Karl-Anthony Towns, when he plays center compared to power forward, he fouls so much more. 2 years ago in the 2022-2023 season, when he played center, he fouled 22.8% of the time. That was his opponent's free throw rate. So this is opponent's free throw rate. When he played power forward, it was at 17.4%. This past season, when he played center, the opponent free throw rate was 23.2%. At power forward, it was 16.9%. Karl-Anthony Towns, over the last 4 seasons, has led the NBA in offensive fouls per game. And this is where I think there's a little bit of a regression from Randle to Cat, is the fact that we gain shooting, but we don't gain another playmaker and initiator on offense. Karl-Anthony Towns, when he drives, he's looking to score. He's not looking to pass. He has the highest turnover rate of any player that drives 5 times a game to the basket. So Cat is a very turnover-prone player. He fouls a lot, not only offensive fouls where he can get a little bit clumsy and lose his control, but he fouls on defense. And now he's the back line of our defense. He's the last guy that players are going to see. And naturally in the playoffs, they know his weaknesses. They're going to try to attack him and get him into foul trouble and get him out of the rhythm of the game. And then in the playoffs, in the last 4 playoff appearances for him, or I should say, in the last 4 seasons in totality, 26% of his games, he shot below 40%. I feel like him and Dante is a different scenario because Dante's shooting most of his shots from threes, where Cat is working outside in space, but also in the paint. And then for his career, Cat is 30% of his playoff games, he shoots under 40%. So there are valid concerns about Cat, who he, to this point, hasn't been a playoff riser. Jalen Brunson is a playoff riser. OG Anunoby plays well in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges, who had a breakout season with Brooklyn, the last time we saw him in this role in the playoffs, averaged 11 points per game. So we got to see how that offensive leap looks, not only with this supporting cast, but in the playoffs as well. There's a lot of ifs that we're making with this team, and we're hoping everything goes the right way. But me being a lifelong Knicks fan and a lifelong Jets fan, my mind a lot of the times goes to, well, what can go wrong? Because a lot of the times that's what went wrong. I thought we were making the conference finals for sure. And then we got injured. We got decimated with injuries. And that's another concern. OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns, they're injury prone. And we don't have the depth to replace a chunk of their minutes in the regular season. So now we're relying on these guys to play more minutes in the regular season because our depth also took a hit. Now, if we trade Mitchell Robinson and get some pieces back, then I'll be okay with it. But there are some question marks with the Knicks. And when we make a gamble as big as this, I'd like for there to be more sure things. I'd like for there to be more assurances. Oh, we're getting a proven playoff performer who I know can step up to the moment. Oh, we're getting a guy that I know can go toe-to-toe with all of these guys in the East. That's what I'd like. But, of course, we don't live in a perfect world, and I'll end it off with this. This was a move that the Knicks had to make. We don't have a center. Julius Randle was going to play center for us this season, or Precious Achiuwa or Jericho Sims. We needed a center, and we killed two birds with one stone. We got a center, and we got more shooting. We replaced Dante DiVincenzo's shooting, and we got a center. True. So it was a great move. Like, I'm not saying it's not a great move, but we can't just gloss over the weaknesses that come with Cat.